Okay, let's try this again. I hate getting cut off in the middle of the sentence, especially when everybody's there. We made it 26 minutes. 6:32 a.m. I don't know what the problem is with this. I used this shitty mobile connection before and never had this much of a problem. And the thing about the mobile connection is I can just hold on for like 2 minutes or something like that if the internet gets lost. If the internet gets lost for like 2 minutes, and then I can just kind of wait, come back on, and resume the stream. But it gets taken off here. I can't resume the stream. So I apologize. I hope sometime in the future this can get resolved, but it's ridiculous. You know, it's the damn Taliban messing with the thing. You know, kept them busy for 20 years, and now, they're loose again. But anyhow, yeah, that's what would happen on the mobile connection when I was on the mobile. If something happened and it got disconnected, which didn't happen very often, then I would just wait, try to reconnect, and it would just, there'd be a buffer in there, but at least I wouldn't lose everybody. Now it literally will not let me sit around and wait. I have to get out of it, and I'm not sure what's going on. Well, the other night didn't disconnect at all, so that's what I did. I went in there and ended the stream. Actually, I waited to see if I could get back on. It wouldn't let me. Renamed the other stream part one that was 26 minutes long. That's how fast we got. That's how far we got. And came back and created another stream. Sorry, folks. I'll warn you if there's not going to be another stream. So if you're enjoying doing what you're doing here, if you've had enough of me, well, yeah, I'll leave. But if you're enjoying what we're doing, I'll be back on in about 3 minutes. It's about how long it takes to get everything up. Maybe less than that. So now, when we get closer to like, say, 9, I may say, hey, if we get disconnected again, that's it. But I'm not stopping painting at this time. I got things to do. So, and this is a business line, so we should have better reliability. It's not like it's 6:30 in the morning on a Saturday. It's not like people are consuming the bandwidth. DVA Taliban. I know. You kept them under a thumb for 20 years, and now they're going to be out and. Yeah. Not that I think that we should still be there, but hey, it's something to say, you know. Okay. Right. Did we do any lightener on top of that color? I bet we did. We did. Okay. Let's get some white on here. Anyways, what was I saying? So somebody was saying that you didn't have a problem with Phil's writings. The problem isn't his writing. They always say the word count is the issue. It's the punctuation. He's trying to get 4 or 5 thoughts in one sentence, and it's like, dude, use a period. You know? Oh, well. And then on top of that, you got people that want to manipulate the rules into what they want them to say. So, I still have one other issue I need to get resolved. I think we got that last thing resolved in the FAQ. Now, if they don't want to play by the FAQ, I don't have a problem with changing how we do things. I just don't want to do them, reteach everybody, and then come to find out, oh, sorry, I was wrong, and then have to reteach them again. This doesn't pay in. Actually, I don't care if this even paid. It's just too frustrating. The whole purpose in filming videos is to show how much fun we can have. To go back and forth and, oh, you played it wrong and you played this, is just going to it's just going to show somebody to go like, you know what? I don't want to play this DBA rule set. It's really hard to pick up. That's not what the purpose is. You know what? We're going to come back and do the metal because we're going to get metal on all the figures, on all the this, and it's going to dry up and I'll get it all over the brushes and flakes and all that. So let's go ahead and do this guy's hair now. We did pull some brown here, so let's give this guy. Do we have any black that's alive? We probably don't. It's been a little while. Let's get that down here. Ah, yes. My creaky chair. I don't know what the solution is for that other than buy a new chair every year. Geez, I'm not that heavy. I'm gamer size medium. I want to shift from side to side. The bitching chair. All right. 6:32 a.m. Yep. It told me if it disconnects, write down what time it disconnects at. Okay, got it. I'll write it on a cocktail napkin with no cocktail. Not that I need one. If you read, say, income tax law, nope, or commercial law, there's also a lack of punctuation. You're right about folks trying to twist a rule to fit their agenda. You watched 3 of your games where Mitch played Spartans. I really enjoyed them. If you want, we can get him to dress up as Halloween, but you're going to see more than just his naked feet then. You can watch that. Yeah, there's too many people that try to twist things to the agenda. There's too much of that in this world. I'm very anti-lawyer, and I'm going to elaborate on that because it's not what you think. But there's too many people in this world. Here we go. There's too many people in this world that want to, instead of solve problems. Okay. So there's always going to be problems to solve, right? But there's too many people in this world that want to create a niche for themselves so that they'll always have employment. And if you go and you're watching television, minding your own business, and they're promoting some kind of drug, which I don't know why that's even a thing. But anyhow, they're promoting some kind of drug to ask your doctor about. There'll be all this mumbling at the end about all this legalese that no one in their right mind can understand. And they do that so that you have to continually employ lawyers for this or for that. So this lawyer can talk to this other one so that, and what it does is it creates apathy. It creates apathy for, if you've ever gone to the voting booth and try to vote on some amendment on something, you can't read it, or you read it 4 times. You're like, what do they mean? Why is this worded this way? It's worded this way. So you have to have lawyers involved that translate things from you so that they always have employment. So anytime I find out there's a bunch of other lawyers that came into the workforce, I'm like, they're just making life miserable for. I mean, I am not the most intelligent person in the world, but I can read a textbook. But this legalese and back and forth, it's like, go do something productive. Go, build a house or something. But, create all these extra rules and laws and amendments so that we need you. Is just disturbing. And, lobbyists do shit like that too, and it's like, it just creates apathy. Like, you know what? Fuck it. Do whatever you want with it, and I'll be dead in 40 years because I just can't take it anymore trying to read what you guys are trying to say. And it's unfortunate, but there's a whole lot of that goes on. And it just creates apathy. People and you got people that are apathetic, and then you got people that are fanboys that are being manipulated by whatever side, by what their guy says. And everybody else is just like, you know what, I'm just going to work on my hobby. But they just complicate life so unnecessarily. Why is the tax code as complicated as it is? It's going to be, here's your tax rate, no exceptions, no loopholes, end of fucking story. Move on. Oh, but that would put hundreds of thousands of people that work for the government out of business. Yeah, it'd make them do something productive. Like, how about putting to work in a factory so we can make things in the West and not in China? How about that? Too much useless, It reminds me of somebody that I know. Okay? It reminds me of somebody that I know that gets a lot of emails and prints every single one of them out. What for? They're on your computer. Well, just so I have a hard copy. You're wasting your freaking time, man. Do something productive. I understand you got to print some things out, but don't print every single thing. Then you've got to sort it. You got to figure out where the hell you put it. Instead of just leave it on your computer, use titles for your messages that make sense, and you can find it that way if you need to. All right, morning rant done. But there's just too many problems to work on the stuff that we already have. Don't create more. But there's a lot of people out there with ulterior motives. And I find that very dishonest. I just do. But then I'm not a word mincer. I like to say things how it is. And if you don't like it, well, so what? All right. This guy looks like I missed a little bit of paint when it was around his eye, so I need to do a tiny little bit of this flesh and get right back in there and see if we can touch that up. I think that should be enough. Only reason I could say, I think that probably solved it right there before I go further along. But that reminds me of a jury duty that I was on. Actually, I never was on it. I didn't get picked. But they had this particular person on there. I know I've talked about this before. And I don't remember all the details, but the gist of it is that this person was suing this local drugstore for giving him the wrong prescription. And he'd gone to the hospital and caused heart palpitations or something like that. So he had some hospital stay, whatever. So he was suing, or his attorneys were suing this local drug company for giving him the wrong medication. Fair enough, you know. But they put me on the stand to question you, to see if they want to pick you on your team, because basically what the way the legal system seems to work here, as an outsider, you know, you got two attorneys, and one guy wants to pick a guy that thinks is gonna, you know, is impartial, but is gonna rule towards you, but isn't apparent to the other attorney. So it's almost like you're thinking, okay, well, if you don't take that guy, I don't take this guy. So, you know, you don't want to come out and say, hey, this is how I am, because both sides would, and both sides believe you, because you're not going to get picked generally. Okay. That's just from my half dozen times of being called for jury duty selection. I've actually only been on one jury, but anyhow. So, you know, one guy wants the guy that thinks is on your side, but the other guy doesn't see it, or what have you. So I get put on there and I get asked, you know, would you have a problem being fair in this particular case? And this was so long ago. It wasn't that long ago, but the details escape me, whether it was the judge or one of the attorneys that asked me this. But I said, well, it depends how much the amount is you're being sued for is. I said, well, what do you mean by that? I said, and I just flat out lay it out. I'm like, you know, I understand that this person should be, I never have a problem being honest. Just freaking say it, you know. If I'm going to get thrown in jail for being honest, well, then we need to bring down this system. But I said, you know, it depends what the amount of the suit is. This person shouldn't be, I mean, they should be compensated, but they shouldn't be set up for your life. Basically what I was saying is, if you're suing for freaking millions of dollars and you don't know that, okay, you don't know what the amount is. I think you don't know what the amount is, at least in this suit is, before you get selected. But you don't get to not have to work for the rest of your life because somebody made an honest mistake which didn't cause you any lasting harm. I mean, that's just my philosophy. I mean, shit happens. Did you lose an arm or a child, or you can't work, or you can't stand, or is your quality of life compromised? No. Should you be compensated for your loss of work and staying at the hospital? Absolutely. And your lawyer rates compensated? Absolutely. But all of a sudden you don't have to work again because somebody gave you the wrong pills? Because that sets a precedent where you're like, it affects society, where you're like going, well, let me go get this prescription filled, and I hope they give me the wrong one so that I don't have to work again. What kind of mentality is that? And there's people that do have that mentality. And I can tell you that has happened in the last 3 or 4 years, where you think that it's like, well, the government's just going to give me money, I don't have to work again. I mean, there's like a worker shortage that I've never seen before in my entire life going on now. That, you know, part and parcel of that is just this whole, well, I hope the government just gives me more money. Like, well, that's nice, but that doesn't make you want to work more. So anyway, so I just laid it all out and I didn't get picked. But it's like, you know, that's just, it just doesn't make sense in my world, you know. You read once that a signatory to the U.S. Declaration of Independence was the lawyer who defended the redcoats accused of the Boston Massacre. It could be. I don't know about that part of history that much. American history is kind of boring. Sorry. I like this country, but the history's boring. Welcome, Kevin. But, and then people will say, well, you know, how can you be against attorneys? Don't you think everybody deserves a fair trial? There's no way I would not be good as an attorney. I'm not representing somebody that I know that's guilty. You know, I'm the wrong guy for that. I'm not representing somebody that hurts kids. Nope. I changed my mind. I decided to do the metal anyways. And this stuff dried out only after a couple days. Let's get some more bronze out here. I keep wanting to call it brass, but now the brass color is even brighter. It's almost like gold. So, yeah, I just laid it all out there. Like, sorry, I'm not going to rule for the. I'm not ruling for the plaintiff. If his lawyers want him to never work again. Oh, it's just insurance. It doesn't cost you anything. Oh yeah, it does. It's the principle of it, and it's a it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope. Oh, I actually have a boo boo. I got a boo boo to fix here. I didn't have this the wood on this. The supposed wood didn't go far enough down the shaft, so we'll need to add that. Not a big deal. Even if I was to seal it, it's not a big deal. You can go in and paint that one little spot and then come back and seal it. So, all right. Now, that's what I didn't want to do is there's going to be little metal, there could be metal filings in there that are metallic things that could find themselves into other colors, but it's not that big of a deal. I just try to avoid that if possible. Just touching this up while I caught it. And then this guy will be done. Now, what I mean that this guy is done, I may come back and add some stripe and stuff to these little, what do we call them? Battle sarongs that they're wearing. I may come back and do that, but I'll make that determination after they're all done. This will be the second guy nearly finished. Okay. There he is in all his glory. Two down, 4 to go. So I'd like to get these guys done by this weekend. Start on something else. What do we got? I know you're not a big movie fan, but there's a great film with Keanu Reeves and De Niro about lawyers. Wow, you did a couple things that... There's a couple things there that I'm out. A movie about lawyers. I don't like courtroom movies. No, I'm not big on movies. I'm not big on movies. I'm kind of done with De Niro, too. You're not from the United States, but I'm kind of done with people, New Yorkers on film. I've seen enough of them. I don't remember where you're from. You're like from Scotland. You're from the UK somewhere, Harvey. But that's totally not what the area of the world that I live in is like. This is not New York. Okay, Battle Sarong. Okay, let's use a different color for this guy. We said we were going to use the sarong painting device. Here we go. Let's get that one. We're happy with that one. Let's see what we got here. Let's compare. We've got that light color. We got a grayer one. What's this one? I have to open this one up again. Of course, the worst part about using this needle is, well, probably should clean this thing off, shouldn't I? Is pressing down on the end, because that's the part that hurts. Because you against the tip of your finger, there's a lot of psi on that. There we go. Didn't take much. We just needed to make the hole a little smaller. Let's just go over to this other edge, or on this side. This is, we're going to use German World War II beige camouflage, or as I like to call it, Zeltbahn base. That's a little, the tent parka thing that those folks used. Splinter camouflage. Good, we got no more viewers now that we stopped talking about law crap. Oh man. How long we been out here before the Taliban? Now every time I've disconnected, the funny thing is it happened. I was able to notice when it happened, because I mean the screen isn't that big, but I saw something moving over here, and I said, "Oh, you've been disconnected." So at least I didn't ramble on another 5 minutes. So that's good. Got to think of the positive. Too wet. There we go. Yeah, so the problem with the rules then is that, the author isn't involved. He's got his reasons, I'm sure, but I heard a story, and I'm going to say this is a story because I don't know that this is fact. But the other rules set I was going to play before I started DBA just didn't work out that way, was Armati. And I heard that the author in that was involved, and he ended up just going off the deep end. And I guess people were arguing with him about the rules too much, and he just gave up. And I've heard this from one person's opinion. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but again, there might be somebody arguing with him that wants their particular army to be awesome, and that may not be exactly how they are in the rules or the army list. There's some people that are out there to drive you crazy. I made a post recently on another Facebook page, not gaming related, and I presented it very just about some advice, how I should do such and such. And it was a car website. And I know that there's trolls on that website. And it just, a couple people, not everybody, but I'd say I probably got 40 responders. And like 3 people were just out to be dicks. I don't respond to them. I blocked them. So I got no time for it. You want to be a troublemaker? I'll just block you. You're not worth my time to respond to. And I don't give a shit what else you say the rest of your life. If you're out there and trying to, something along the lines of, let me give you an example. And this isn't what it was. I'm looking to repaint my car red. What color red would be the best one to match the factory finish of such and such a thing? And then somebody would respond with, what kind of an idiot would want to paint a car red? Okay, that person blocked. I don't care what else they ever say in their entire life. You're dead to me. When you going on some site to be helpful, it's like if you went on a DBA site, hey, I'm looking to build the Paeonians. So I've seen a lot of people have that army. What figures would you use as Paeonians? And I would respond with, what kind of an idiot would build a Paeonian army? Like, I don't need to be heard again. If you're going to be that kind of a person, you just need to just go away. Phil used to defend his WRG rules set vigorously in Slingshot, Society of Ancients magazine. I had that for a year, but I didn't see much value in it. I guess he was worn out by arguing with people who had zero interest in his views. Yeah, I could see that. I don't blame him for... I've met him. I only met him one time. I thought he was a nice guy. I can see that he has his own opinions. I mean, he's done a lot of research. He's invented a lot of army lists out of nowhere, too. But you kind of have to. Either that or don't include them in the rules. So... you have to make educated guesses sometimes. I get it. But yeah, it gets old. You can't even go. There's people that just don't have anything to do with life other than argue. So, I don't blame him for stepping out of the picture. Like I've said before in our games, this is how we play. If you want to play the game differently, play the game differently. I don't care, But I don't get trolled by people. Don't say they don't upset me. I just freaking shut them out. You're dead to me. Hopefully you don't need a blood donation from me because you ain't getting it. And it's even more prevalent in comments that people have on videos on YouTube. Man, people just go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it's like, dude, it isn't worth it. You need a hobby. You'll see it on the Facebook page of our local county commission too. Oh, people need to just go in the parking lot, resolve their differences. Uh-oh, we got a fluff piece. A little fiber here. It would be nice if I had a pair of these that didn't have glue on the end, wouldn't it? I don't know if that's going to grab it. No, we're going to have to do something a little drastic because I don't want this to turn into something else later. All right, let's just fix that up. Because then, you know, it'll end up getting covered by the clear coat, and maybe I'll be the only one that sees it, but I could remedy that pretty easy right now. Ever since the internet came out, you know, the common perception is that people can say things anonymously on the internet, but they're nicer in person. I'm the opposite. I'm nicer on the internet than in person. Because if you put something really controversial or you're nasty, now you got to defend yourself. And, you know, I'm not interested in going on some long-winded discussion about how my point's right and yours is wrong. You know, I'm not interested in that. In person, you can just say F you and move on. So that's why I've never been a fan of using handles or anything like that. I'm not going to be nasty to somebody on the internet. Phil's contribution to wargaming in the UK is immense. Rules reference books. Without those, there'd be fewer figure makers too. Absolutely. I agree with you completely. I don't think... Welcome, Mr. Smith. I don't think DBA was intended to be a commercial game. Okay. It started as a way to allowing games to be played at Society of Ancients conventions, as WRG 6 games took way too long and were stale. Fair enough. That's fair enough. If I ever come up with a rule set, it won't be a commercial game. I'm not interested in selling it. But I am, as I mentioned in an earlier thing, I would be concerned about somebody stealing it, changing the name of it, or keeping the new one, and then marketing it. And so that's definitely something that would keep me from doing it, because I don't want somebody, you know, there's people out there that just have no morals. They were raised, I wouldn't say raised by wolves. They'd be a better person if they were raised by wolves. But you know what I'm talking about. My whole purpose in doing this that we're doing is to be able to make things done, keep myself entertained while I'm doing it. If we could help people along the way, absolutely. You know. But I want to make money on this. It'd be nice. But you're not going to pay my work salary. I'm still going to have to go to work. All right, let's compare this color to the other ones. Okay, slightly different. I'm not going to lighten it anymore because then it would become more similar to the other ones. We're just going to use all kinds of off-color things. We're going to do one in a brighter color. Let's do that. But it's going to be faded. I'm going to pick one of these guys that's kind of dull. Okay, so what's the easiest color for them to get a shade of? Probably red. So we're going to pick a red guy. We're going to give him a red battle sarong. But it's not what you think. Became popular. Gamers started tinkering with the rules, adding their own interpretation variants, and DBA came along. I just want to play history and learn about something new. Have a good laugh. You know. Oh, we didn't finish doing the rest of the spear and everything all the way. Oh, bugger. What do? Let's finish the one guy. Yeah, this red will still be good if I come back around. That's what happens when I have too much coffee. I don't get jittery. I just distract even easier. I got this coffee yesterday. I was getting kind of sluggish last night, and I'm like, let me go through, get some Starbucks for in the morning. And their coffee doesn't taste great, but you could pour it on a graveyard and all the zombies come out. It absolutely wakes the dead. All right, where's my buff? I think it's that one. Yeah. All right, this is the sarong one. Or was this it? Maybe they're both too good for this. Let's use this one. I don't like using a brush that works really well for detail things on something that doesn't require that amount of detail. You know, it's pretty easy to get into the spears here, so there's no reason to use... hold on, let's make sure we don't have any extra water in there. Yeah, here's fine. I like putting the colors that are similar to each other on the similar parts of the palette, because if there is some that it picks up some of it, you're just picking some of the same color up. I don't know if that's been a problem. I think it's just kind of a theory that I've just kind of tried to play by that rule in case that ever comes up. But, uh-oh. What we got here? My favorite Martian, there you are. The way DBA rules are written is by exception. Every rule has a list of exceptions after stating it. I think that's why people find it unusual. Yeah, I'm not programmed to understand that way, but it's all right. One of our sadly late club members made a variant where each unit was 4 bases and was not destroyed till 3 bases were lost. Was popular till DBM arrived. We have WRG 6, so lots of figures. Yeah. I don't know. I think most game systems have something valuable to have from them. They get something right. The best thing about DBA is the size of the battlefield, the few amount of figures, and the pip dice, and the opposing rolls. I think that that's all a winning combination. I like few figures because it means you could have more armies. Not like, okay, just imagine if you play a game that has more figures, you're eventually going to have less armies. So now you have to spend a lot more time cogitating about what army you're going to build, because you're going to be stuck painting them for even longer. And, you're only going to make 4 armies instead of 36. I think somebody posted, they had the DBA poll there on the Facebook page. I think it might be on Fanaticus as well. I think somebody said that the average person had 35 armies or something like that. I kind of glanced at the article and haven't really gotten a chance to really read it in depth. I'm well below the average, and I've been painting for a long time. How long has it been? Late 2004. So, 18 years, and I only have, I think I just got my 35th army. Or is it 25? I don't remember. It's got to be 35. Anyhow, but I paint slower than just about everybody. That's all right. And I don't buy painted armies, so, I can't gain any armies that way. Mitch has more armies than I'll ever paint, because he can go to a show and buy 4 armies. Well, that's a couple years worth right there for me. Shows, those things that we used to have in 2019 and before. The War Games world is full of inveterate rules thinkers. Man, you're going to make me look things up. And rules lawyers. I like the way 3.0 tends to self-narrate play, trying to come up with an explanation for the result. Yeah, that bothered me when I first started playing. I kind of like it myself too. You get to kind of create your little background story of what really happened there. When I was first playing rules, when I was first playing games, and I was playing very detail-oriented games, there's a little piece of fluff there. We don't want to get that in the mix. It might be just from the stuff coming apart, rubbing too much in the right place, in the same place. It was very detail-oriented. So when I started playing something so abstract, I'm like, well, what's really going on? And then I realized DBA finally made me realize that, you can't have, and you see this all the time. I'm coming up with new World War II rules of skirmish rules, and it's made everybody can have 50 figures on the board. You could run a whole company. Well, if you're running an entire company, you shouldn't be moving individual figures around, because you are not making decisions based on the role. And DBA was the first rule set where it's like, you're playing a role, and your role is the commander of the entire army. If you're the commander of the entire army, you really don't know what's going on with these 500 men over here. You just know whether or not they're winning, they've been successful in their attack, or they're not useful to you as a fighting force anymore. And it really works for that. You're not worried about if Frank or Bill are, suffered a wound and what kind of a wound it is. That's not your role as the army commander. So, yeah, it works as far as that goes. Phil sent a copy of a set, War is the Roses rules my group had created. He kindly replied and sent me 2 pages of a rule set he was working on, DBA. He asked me to play them and comment. You saw the analysis of the DBA poll. Very interesting. The thing that surprised me the most, none of the most popular armies surprised me except one. I was surprised the Gauls were that high up on the list. And the reason it surprised me is because you never see people play them. So you must play them at home. Now, I'll be honest with you. That army got significantly more fun to play / competitive with 3.0. It's much better in 3.0 than 2.2. They have more options, they have more mobility. But I'm not surprised that the Romans are popular. You know, they're around for a while. But book 2 really dominated. So you can really tell by the poll that the percentage of people that responded that are from the British Isles. I don't know if there's a metric for that says where you're from. I filled out the poll, but I don't remember if it asked you where you were from. But you can really tell that a lot of the people are from the British Isles because the Dark Age thing, the most popular part of the Dark Ages was all like things in the British Isles, which I'll be honest with you, I'm not particularly interested in. That's not my background. That's not my heritage. You know, doesn't mean I have anything against those armies. It's just I don't have an interest in it. Gauls are colorful, I guess, but they're just not very. They're one-dimensional-ish. They're two-dimensional-ish. You know, chariots, warband. A little boring, you know, but oh well. That's good. It's good that everybody has a different opinion, you know. But anyhow, getting back to the Dark Ages, that's just a period that just never interested me. You know, Dark Ages in you know, England. So I think people are going to do what they kind of are interested in. It makes sense. Or what somebody will always say. Actually, not building an army, but I've had several people come and play. Hey, I want to play. What army should I use? I said, well, what are you? And then one guy actually got offended. What do you mean, what am I? What's your background, dude? If you're English, play an English army. I mean, unless you don't like what you are. Yeah, that's what I did. The first army I built, feudal Spanish. Next army I built, their enemy, Almoravids. Next, who was 3? 3, I was like, oh, I want to do something different. So I ended up getting those Koreans. And then I won a tournament with the Koreans and purchased a Rajput army and built them. Then I'm like, well, I need an enemy for my Koreans. So I did Tang Chinese. And then, you know, it just extrapolates from there. You know, and then I'm like, I had a Roman tournament that I had to play. I got to build a Roman army. Didn't necessarily want to, because everybody had that army, but I needed to use it for a tournament. So I think that's a good tie-in. I'm not from the British Isles that I know of, so, you know, I'm not knocking anything over there. It just, it makes sense, you know. It makes sense to do that. And, you know, the British Isles is where wargaming started. The thing about Dark Age armies is there's not a lot of color research necessary. Yeah. Anyhow, so I'm going to do pre-feudal Scots at some time, so I can do these annoyingly over-the-top accents that are totally unrealistic, but they add a lot of fun to me. Sorry. I may do bad accents, but just remember, I do them better than almost everybody in this continent. I know that's not saying a whole lot, but, you know, I do with what I can. Yeah, looking forward to doing that. But I'm not Scottish. That I know of. Any of you guys done that ancestry thing? If so, which one did you use and were you happy with the results? And I don't mean not happy the results, finding out that, you ended up being where you thought you were from, but, was it worthwhile? There's like three or four of them, and so some of them, I don't care to do the one that tells you what diseases you're susceptible to. I've kind of figured that out, but it would be interesting to see. Anyhow, if you've got any insight on that, I've thought about doing it. I'm not worried about giving your DNA to the government. They don't give a shit about me. They would have shut me down already if I was a problem. They would have sent in SEAL Team 27 to come take me out. So, if you guys have any insight on that, because there's so many of them. I have a feeling, though, a lot of it is probably similar to how Phil did some of his army lists. They're just randomly there's just some things you're just never going to find out, So, need to might be worth doing. Although probably the thing I would dislike the most is the waiting. Send that in and to be like the longest 2 weeks, and then you get it and you think, man, this is inaccurate because I'm not what I thought I was. I guess that probably happens to everybody. Or I could just assume that I know what my background is and just build those armies, right? All right, let's do his hair. We're done with this guy. They're halfway done. That's pretty cool. Other than the striping, but that part takes quick. That part's quick and fun too. That part's fun. The stuff that other people really dislike is the stuff that I like. Oh, I gotta paint horses. I like painting horses. Painting horses is freaking easy. And you don't have to smell them. Which is definitely my least favorite part about horses. Don't have to smell them on here. All right, we get the one guy that's a little brown here. No, I don't think we got anybody with brown, that's very brown haired. Maybe this guy will be our guy. And if I'm not happy with how it turns out, I can just repaint his beard. It's not a big deal. Now, this is extremely forgiving. You do something, you don't like how it turns out, just tinker with, we need something smaller than this. This is, all right, it's this one. Nothing. I got nothing. Okay. Let's do a little bit more brown before we go there. Had a guy I used to paint with, my original Mitch. He'd come over and back in the 90s, he'd come over and paint at my house. He'd leave us paints and stuff. That's where I got used to painting being kind of a social thing. You know, sitting in a corner and by yourself and not socializing while you're painting is kind of freaking boring after you've made it a social experience. And he had a fetish about putting redheaded people in his army. So he probably would have made one of these people redheaded. And there may have been a redheaded Amorite, but then I'm not painting them. It just seems really out of place. That's where, you know, artistic license comes in. You know, like I've heard stories that there's redheaded Assyrians. I'm not putting them in my Assyrian army. It just looks out of place. You know, it'd be hard to pull off. So, got nothing against redheaded people. Just doesn't seem in place for me. So, that's where artistic license comes in. Put your own spin on how you think things were. Hey, it's your army. You can paint whatever you want. You want to give somebody blue hair? I guess you can go ahead and do that too. Okay. We'll call this guy done. All right, one of these guys has to have a almost brand new cloth. So in other words, really, really bright white or brightish white. Somebody does. Wow, everybody's listening. Okay, we can do that. Well, since you guys aren't saying anything, I'm gonna go get a refill of some beverage. I'll be right back. Hopefully we don't get disconnected. More people here when I'm not here. Welcome. Nothing on the ancestry links. Well, I'll have to do my own. I may do it one day, may not. Like I said, I could just probably figure out what I am. Need to do a Visigoth army at some point. Pretty sure there's some of that in me. On down the road somewhere. Okay, this is the guy that was going to have the really off-white thing. Well, we can just use... This is the one we did dark. Let's use this one. Let's use this one. And just lighten it up past this point. Yeah, pretty sure there's some Visigoth stuff, considering my background is from Spain. Had a grandmother was born. In the 19th century. Yeah. Barely. And she was blonde hair, blue eyes. My other grandmothers also had blue eyes. So... definitely some of that. I like painting those Visigoth type shields. That was fun in my Ostrogoth army. That'd be a good fit. Just not going to do them next. And I think you could make the A and the B together. All you got to do is use them for... You got to use them for warband in the earlier list, right? The foot troops, and then use them for spear in the later list. I'm not going to paint 2 stands of each. I would just make warbandish looking spear and cover both. But that doesn't mean, we can't do armies that you're not related to. Like, I already did a Korean army. Pretty sure I've got no Korean in me. It's probably a safe bet. Chinese. Rajput. I'm pretty sure I'm not Rajput. Pretty safe to assume that one. I haven't seen Martian in a while. He claims I should be an honorary Pole. Might have some of that in my background. I don't know. I guess that's possible. It's not too far-fetched. At least a common ancestor. I mean, that's where the Goths came from, that part of the world. Ish. I would have already built a Polish army if Mitch didn't have one. They're colorful. Nice looking troops. Nice army composition. Everybody busy working. That works. Before I was filming this stuff, yeah, I'd be listening to people on YouTube while I was doing this kind of thing. And one of my favorite things to watch was unboxings. I loved watching unboxings. Especially by somebody that's doing it that's very calm. I don't know, there's just something soothing about that. Something soothing about that. Another thing that's really easy to do is if you're watching somebody that the camera is not all over the place. Like this one particular gentleman that I used to watch. I haven't seen any of his content in a little while. He's, I think he's filming like a video camera. So anyways, he talks a lot and the camera doesn't move very much. So that's really handy to, you could listen to him while you're mowing the lawn because there's nothing to look at, you know what I mean? So that's good too. Man, this white dries up fast. Chalky color. I wonder if that's why. There's always one car that's louder than the other ones when they go by the road. It's not. I guess it's a pretty busy road, but it's far enough away. I shouldn't be hearing road noise. Oh, geez, I get to be almost 8. Crazy. Anyhow. Yeah, there's all kinds of armies I could potentially be interested in. And the reasons I'm interested in is anything from background to, there's all kinds of reasons you can find to be excited about something. So apparently that poll that nobody has an army, nobody apparently had a Toltec army, which I'm not surprised because nobody makes figures for them. I guess you could probably fudge Aztecs or something like that, but why fudge an army when you could just have the figures for them? And I think they used to be in DBA 2.2. I think it used to be all blade, like almost all blade inferior or something like that. The army's got a little bit more variety now, if I remember correctly. All right, let's just keep brightening this up a little bit more. I need to drop. Let me do something drastic. I've actually never done this before. We'll see how it goes. We're going to drop some of this thinner. On top of this white. Try to keep it alive. I don't know, maybe that's a viable scenario. Viable option to keep this one dried out. Because it just seems like the white dries out more than anything else. Aha, somebody's awake. Mike B, good morning. So are these the biblical Amorites? I see where they had a king named Og. That might be fun in a game or two. I guess. I don't know. It's you talk about Old Testament. I don't know jack shit about the Old Testament. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, they'd be that same time period. They actually apparently are the pre-Babylonians. So some of the city-states ended up turning into, like one of the Amorite kings was Hammurabi, which is a pre-Babylonian. So yeah, I'm not making them anybody in particular. There's actually a inert general from this list. So a guy that really sucks. So I'd kind of like it to be his army. So if he doesn't do well, well, that's what it is. We're going to do a tournament that will have inert generals. Come up with some kind of special rule for them that makes them sucky. But there's a camp plan for this army that will be the same size as a baggage element. It'll be a 40 by 40. So we could finally have a baggage element painted for the collision course. But the reason I decided to build this army is Joe Coton got some figures for his third dynasty of Ur. And I really like the miniature of them. I really, really like them. As a matter of fact, I'll show them to you. And I'm like, I got to build an army with that figure because they're really cool looking. You know, for a book one figure that I find very uninspiring. No, I need this or I won't be able to see what's on the screen. It's an Essex figure here. Let's make sure this is clear. You know, he's got a little helmet, which is apparently a little reed helmet. I looked up about it, so it won't be metallic colored. And he can or cannot have the shield, which is unusual that they have that on there. I haven't decided what they're going to be. They're going to be solid auxilia, so they're probably going to have the shield. But I really like this figure, because that's the problem with Book 1 armies, is I don't really care for how most of these figures are dressed. It's not an army composition, it's just, you know, it's just from a creative standpoint, they're a little boring. So, these are not the biblical Amorites then. They were from Jordan area, part of Canaanites. I think they are the same one. They spread out over a big area. There's a video that Chris Brantley posted on me from the Kings in General site that was on these guys, and it was really interesting. And yeah, they're in that same area. You know, they came out of the desert and stuff and influenced other people, and you know. I'm a little disappointed that these guys aren't child sacrificers. I thought that they were, but that's apparently the Ammonites. I was going to do a little child sacrificing statue. Not that I'm a proponent of sacrificing any living creature for anything, but it would be fun to talk about and taunt in games. I'll be honest with you. So, Okay. Where's the buff at? Where's Buffy at? It's over on this side. Yeah, Buffy's over here. Yeah, Bible's even harder to understand than Phil Barker's writing, so. Those Old Testament stories, I don't know them. I do not know them. We do have a biblical-ish scholar that plays with us, but he's been hiding in a cave for over a year. He's been hiding from society. What was that name of that guy? The guy that wrote Revelation that was stuck on that Greek island. That's what I would refer to him as. That's what I'm going to call him as his name. Anyhow, he's hiding from civilization until this boils over, which I got news for you. This isn't going to boil over. This is going to be the new thing every year now. So